Hello everyone. Whilst the studio today is nice and quiet, I thought I'd just do a quick video on guitar maintenance. I work with a lot of young guitarists, new guitarists, and some guitarists change their strings once a year. Some guitarists change their strings once every 6 months. Some change them once a month. If you're doing thrash, you do a lot of palm muting and your hand sweats and you notice that your strings start to kind of decay quite quickly. But something that I do at least once a year, and a lot of guitarists I talk to don't even think about this, is to maintain the fretboard, the wood on the fretboard. Some people use lemon oil. I myself like to use linseed oil, pharmaceutical grade or 100% pure linseed oil. These things you can get from Amazon or eBay or a shop you might know that sells stuff like this. So linseed oil and some cotton wool. I've took the strings off of this already just to save time. This fretboard's getting a bit dry. I don't know if you can see, I don't know if the camera will have to refocus with this, but I can see it starting to dry. It takes about 3 days, so obviously I'll stop the video and then come back in 3 days and finish the video off. But some people put their oil on and say, I don't know, a day later take it off, 2 days later take it off. I like to leave mine for about 3 days. That way it can soak in. There's less to take off when you buff it off later before you put your new strings on. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I'm just getting some oil on the cotton wool and just cover an area of wood. You can see straight away from the other blocks that you can just, you want it to be, I don't know if I can lift it up, you'll see it. You want it to be wet, but you don't want it to be sopping wet, if that makes sense. You want it to have a thin layer of film on the top, and then that's what you're going to let settle in over the next 3 days. Or if you want to do it over 2 days, 1 day, 2 days, it's up to you, depending on how quick you need the guitar. I normally do this every 6 months. I change the strings, which is a nightmare when you've got as many guitars as what I have. But when you've got studios and you're a professional guitarist, you'll know I have guitars for certain tunings, so it saves me having to retune. Like my workhorses, I'll have a guitar tuned to open D, a guitar tuned to open G. Just you end up with this whole kind of collection of guitars, which I'll touch upon later on, because even though, I don't know if you can see in the background, I've got Gibsons, I've got Fenders, I like to go for all kinds of guitars. I've got guitars from the 70s, the 80s, the 60s, Hofners, Satellites, Skeptors, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm kind of the idea where, you know, every guitar, doesn't matter how old or how cheap it was when it first come out, I like to kind of get a good sound out of it, and then it's kind of like an achievement. It's kind of when you get a guitar that's from the 60s and you know you actually get to use it in a song and it sounds brilliant. It's just kind of like a homage to that guitar, because a lot of guitars end up, you know, yourselves you'll probably know, under the bed or in the loft, a car boot, you know. But I kind of like battling with older guitars So even though I've got my steady workhorses like my Gibsons and my Fenders, you know, I've Ibanez's, I've got Adam Blacks. It's just, you know, I like to have different guitars, different sounds. In the old days when you had your satellites and your Ks and stuff like that, Columbuses used to come from the catalogue. My satellite, I think I've had it since I was 12, 13, which I got from Woolworths. You know, it was about £18. But a lot of bands started out with these guitars, and now kind of on stage when they want to sound like they used to sound, you know, they've got these machines that can kind of take their guitar back a little bit and make it sound like it did in the early 80s or the late 70s. As you can see, all this body here, it's going to need a good clean. But, you know, I still like to use the guitars from that period rather than electronic devices that make me sound from that period. Oh, that's just me. I'll try and lift this so you can see. You can see it's just wet enough. It's not sopping. It's got a layer on top. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop filming, and then in 3 days' time I'll come back and then take the excess off before I restring. Give the body a clean. If I can think of any other little maintenance tips to run through before I put the new strings on, I will do. But yeah, we'll talk about guitars later when I'm redoing the fretboard and buffing it all off. See you soon. Hi everyone, welcome back to LR Studio 1, or Last Studio 1, however you want to pronounce it. It's been 3 days. This, as you can see, some of the oil is soaked right through now and is in the wood. Some of it's still bits of residue there. One thing I forgot to say is, before I put the oil on, you probably noticed that I didn't clean the fretboard. It's because most of the time, over the 3 days, the oil lifts the dirt from what's ingrained in the wood, and it kind of sits on top. So when you're cleaning the residue off, it brings the dirt off as well. So it's kind of like a cleansing, oiling, maintenance type thing. So basically, I'm just going to move the guitar this way. Just going to get a piece of cotton wool and then just gently start giving just a gentle rub to take the excess off. You can start to see the dark patch appearing on the... There you go, you can see where the dirt's coming off as well as the oil, the residue of the oil. And I started to say on the last video that, you know, some people change their strings once a year, some twice a year, every 6 months, some every month. And the reason why I touched upon that is, if you can do this at least once a year, just let some of the oil soak in, and you know, before you restring, if you're going to restring, you might as well do it then. And it just makes the guitar so much more playable. If you're shredding, or if you like to do long slides up and down, and also when you're bending, when your string's touching the wood and it's bending, it's just so nice to have a nicely kind of reconditioned fretboard, which is kind of soft and nice and just rejuvenated. Really, it's you know, it's worth doing. I'm not going to worry in this video about restringing. I can do that later on and clean the rest of this. I don't want to waste too much of your time. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to just maintain the fretboard. I mean, you know, some people change pickups, you know, put new bridges on. I have a luthier who comes and takes the back off, and you know, he's got his little can of stuff and he sprays all the pots and knobs and cleans everything for me like once a year. And it's just, you know, these are your tools of the trade. Then if you are going to look after them, you know, this is worth doing once a year. If you've never done this before, then I hope this video helps. You can see, I hope you can see, I'm not sure, the dirt. Another little tip, if you haven't got one of these, when you're restringing the winder, godsend, trust me, it's about £1.20, £1.30, because otherwise you're sitting there for ages and ages and ages. I'll try and find, there's a photo of one of the rooms in the studio where I'm doing the restring on my acoustics, and during this video I'll try and flash that photo up, and you'll see why having a winder is necessary when you've got 10 plus guitars to do at once. It can take quite a while. But I don't know if I'll try and, I don't know if you can see this now, but it's so it feels beautiful. I wish there was field vision. But yeah, this is absolutely beautiful now. And once it's restrung, I've cleaned the body and restrung it. It's gonna play beautifully. It's gonna, you know, my fingers are gonna fly up and down. There's gonna be no resistance whatsoever. I really do hope this video has been helpful. There's going to be lots more posted at crazedmag.com. So please, if you've not subscribed and you've stumbled across this by accident, please subscribe, and we will bring you more videos about studios, about equipment in studios, and then I'll bring, you know, obviously we'll get people to come in who are professionals in what they do, as in luthiers and stuff, you know. So brilliant. Hope this is helpful. Thank you very much, and get oiling.